Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Janetta, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live and later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are able to attend, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at UofVA. All the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now here's Reverend Cheryl.
Hello, 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 friends. Great to have you here. Welcome to everyone who is in the Zoom room and everyone watching on YouTube or Facebook, whether you're watching live or watching later. We're so happy to have you here with us. Our broadcast date is July 28th. And this whole year of 2024, we have a focus on well-being. And our special focus for July has been physical well-being. We started the month talking about some essentials of physical well-being. We've talked about rest. We've talked about nourishment, and today we are talking about movement. Movement's an essential of physical well-being, right? So I've got a story here about movement, a story from 85-year-old Edith. Here's what Edith had to say. I feel like my body has gotten totally out of shape, so I got my doctor's permission to join a fitness club and start exercising. I decided to take an aerobics class for seniors. I bent, twisted, gyrated, jumped up and down, and perspired for an hour. But by the time I got my leotard on, the class was over. So there's story number one. I have two stories here for you this morning. So this is another short story. This one is about not moving. So one evening, after 30 years, spending every night watching television, a husband said to his wife, "We need a change. Let's do something exciting." His words brought excitement to his wife, who had visions of a night out on the town or traveling and seeing new places. "Absolutely," she exclaimed. "What shall we do?" Her husband answered, "Well, let's swap chairs." So that's a story about not moving. So sometimes we are engaged in moving and sometimes we're not, right? So, but our bodies are designed for movement, aren't they? Our bodies desire movement. Our bodies want to get up and get moving. Here's a quote I found on the internet. I didn't have a specific source on it, but the body will become better at whatever you do or don't do. If you don't move, your body will make you better at not moving. If you move, your body will allow more movement. So as we continue to focus this year on well-being, and we prioritize self-care. Self-care is essential to this process of well-being. We need to include movement in that formula, right? So today we're going to be looking at different kinds of movement, and we'll explore an array of different kinds of movement and how these kinds of activities can benefit our overall well-being, whether that's spiritual or mental, emotional, and our bodies itself, right? So we're going to start with passive movement. So have you ever noticed that your body is actually constantly in motion, right? Breathing involves movement, right? Your body is moving as you breathe. Your heart beating. Can you feel your heart beating sometimes, particularly in stressful situations? You can feel or if you're exercising hard, sometimes we're very conscious of the movement in our body having to do with digestion, right? There are times when our body is like, aha, time to get up and go move something, right? So our bodies are actually moving all the time. And these are all functions of what they call the autonomic nervous system, right? A network of nerves throughout your body that control these unconscious processes that are going on, things that are always happening in the background without you thinking of them. So even when you consider yourself to be at rest, there's still a lot of movement going on. And movement is natural to our bodies, right? So just take a moment right now and just notice the rhythm of your relaxed breathing without any kind of special taking a deep breath or anything. Just notice that movement of your body. If you get really quiet, are you able to feel your heart beating? Isn't it amazing that that is just that activity, that movement is going on in the background all the time? Just pause and notice. Now we're going to move on. We're kind of, growing in the degree of movement we're looking at. So now we're going to look at gentle movement, because small movements can actually have such a big impact on our sense of well-being, particularly when we are under stress or when we are experiencing the echoes of trauma that we've experienced in our life. There's some wonderful, wonderful input from this author, Resmaa Menakem. He's the author of My Grandmother's Hands, which is a really powerful, powerful book. Now, Resmaa Menakem is a trauma therapist, and he has a couple books out now. And in this book, My Grandmother's Hands, he shares ways for us to settle ourselves with gentle movement when we're feeling triggered by events, by things going on. Some of us might experience flashbacks or traumatic memories or panic attacks. These are all things that people experience. Here's something about what Resmaa Menakem has to say about gentle movement. Learning to settle your body and practicing wise and compassionate self-care are not about reducing stress. They're about increasing your body's ability to manage stress, as well as about creating more room for your nervous system to find coherence and flow. So a lot of times these approaches that Menakem suggests for us are things that can help us settle, gentle movements. So he encouraged us to do things like humming, which, it's not necessarily a movement, but an activity, humming, oming, rocking in our seats, basically kind of stroking or patting the body to help that nervous system settle down and calm down. Here's a quote from Menakem on just kind of coaching around this. So get comfortable, take a few slow, deep breaths into the belly, letting go with the out breath. And then slowly rock your body, your upper body, from side to side or forward and back. And if you like, hum a little tune and just rock back and forth. So these are the kind of practices that he suggests, gentle movement that can really kind of settle our system down when we're feeling jacked up by what's going on in our life or what's going on in the outer world. And these are the kinds of things that most anyone can do. You don't have to have a class for it. You don't have to have some special instruction. You can just rock, right? Think about the times when you've spent time in a rocking chair, right? And how comforting that can be. Another form of gentle movement that we're all experienced with is stretching, right? It's a form of movement that keeps the muscles flexible and healthy and helps our body maintain its natural range of motion. If we aren't stretching properly, then the muscles can tend to kind of tighten up and get shorter. So and it's interesting, we use that word stretching having to do with the body, but we also talk about stretching our minds, right? And when we talk about well-being, we have talked about the fact that our physical well-being and our mental, emotional well-being and our spiritual well-being are all connected. So when we stretch the body, we're benefiting all of our threefold nature, as Myrtle Fillmore talks about it. And also when we are doing things to stretch our minds, to learn something new, we are benefiting the whole system. And of course, stretching is a part of a lot of spiritual practices, particularly yoga is something that people are very familiar with. And there are so many different forms of yoga, right? From the really advanced, physically strenuous aspects of yoga to chair yoga and really gentle forms of yoga. So take a moment right now and just stretch. Just give yourself a good stretch as a form of gentle movement. Now, we're going to talk about walking, right? Because if we are able to, walking is a movement that is fundamentally healthy for the human body. It's designed to walk, right? And we know that walking is a wonderful form of exercise, but walking is also a part of many spiritual practices where we're doing a spiritual practice where we are in movement. So we can do prayer as walking. So you can, as you're walking, you can repeat affirmations or prayers or just be holding different situations in prayer as you walk. And particularly is helpful if you're out in nature, which we often talk about. Another kind of walking and spiritual practice is walking a labyrinth. So I was doing a little research on that and looking at different locations for labyrinths. And I saw one kind of instruction set of how to do it, which is I thought was interesting that I would share. This particular practice suggested that as you walk into the labyrinth, that you are holding any of your own personal concerns that are going on, holding those in prayer. And that as you arrive in the center of the labyrinth, that you pause there. Perhaps you can sit or lie down or just stand and rest and just sort of receive the loving presence of God, of the universe, and offer your gratitude when you're there at the center. And then they suggest as you make your way out, repeating the same pattern of the labyrinth, that at that time you hold any prayers that you have for circumstances out in the world or for other people. And that afterward, again, you find a place for rest and stillness to integrate the experience and receive, that's why in unity we always talk about prayer and meditation, because prayer tends to be a very active thing where we are actually keeping something in mind, we are holding the high watch, and meditation is the sitting in the stillness and the receiving space. So I liked those instructions around a labyrinth because it has a couple points of pause, pausing at the center and then pausing again once you've completed to integrate and to receive inspiration. So that's all about walking as movement. So now we're going to move into a more focused kind of movement, exercise, right? So We know that exercise is a wonderful thing to do to keep our bodies healthy and happy. Here's a quote from Myrtle Fillmore from How to Let God Help You. She says, "Let your body know the joy of your loving attention and interest. Give it the exercise it needs." So even Myrtle Fillmore was like, all right, let's get some exercise, folks. And even if we don't see ourselves as athletic in any way, exercise just of any form has such wonderful benefits, like we said, all the way through our threefold nature, for our body, for our consciousness, for our spirit. I found a wonderful quote here for those who are very intuitively aware. So it's from the Empath's Survival Guide, Life Strategies for Sensitive People by Judith Orloff. So I'm talking about folks who really have an awareness of energy flow in the world. So here's what Judith Orloff has to say. Regular exercise is life-saving for empaths because it physically expels tension and negative energy. A sedentary lifestyle causes your energy flow to stagnate, allowing all kinds of toxins to accumulate. When you feel stress building, take a walk, go to the gym or yoga class, or do some stretching. Vigorous exercise is excellent at purifying our system, though gentle exercise can be effective too. Movement keeps us flexible so our muscles don't contract and hold in negativity. In this way, exercise turns back the clock, helping us to stay younger and more vital. So that was a good long quote directed to particularly empaths, sensitive people. Here's another quote from Chris Crowley and Henry Lodge, authors of Younger Next Year. So I imagine that their book is focused on maintaining a youthful mindset. So here's what they have to say. Exercise is absolutely the most important message of the book because movement is life and because it's easy to structure. Just make it your job. So they're suggesting just make it a part of your daily job, just like your daily prayers, just like your daily meals, just like the other things you do every day is do some exercise. I know for me that if I have days where I don't have exercise for more than 1 or 2 days, my body settles into a place that becomes really stiff and painful. And that's a lot because I have a history of some pretty extensive injuries. So for me, the only way to keep this body moving is to keep it moving. So however it is you experience that, this is all about keep it moving, friends, and it'll benefit all of our well-being, right? So now we're going to move into creative movement, right? Dance, right? So can you recall a time when you danced as if no one was watching? But I was thinking about that myself. I was thinking about a music festival that I've gone to a number of times. It's been quite a few years since I went, but it's a music festival called Merle Fest, which takes place down in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. And they always at Merle Fest have a dance tent. And so the whole intention of that space, there isn't place for people to sit, whatever. It's just an open dance floor. And I can remember just going there. And especially I was there on my own. I didn't know anybody. And just that sense of just flowing with the music and letting it go and just letting the body move was just so exhilarating. So I'm just wondering, are you willing to give it a try? Give it a try in the privacy of your home, put on some music and give it a try. The other thing that comes to mind for me when it comes to talking about dancing and creative movement is the 1984 classic film Footloose, starring Kevin Bacon. So for those of you who aren't familiar, You can find it. I found it recently streaming and watched it again after many years. But the whole premise of Footloose is that there's a young man who's a high schooler, and he and his mom have moved from the city of Chicago to a small Midwestern town. And he's shocked when he finds out that the town has made dancing and rock music illegal. So he and his friends start working on persuading the town council, if they can, to let them have a senior prom, let them have a dance at the end of the school year. And the character's name is Ren McCormick, again, played by Kevin Bacon. And when he addresses the town council, he uses scripture. One of his friends, his girlfriend, you might say, from the movie, is the preacher's daughter, and she helps him with some scripture that he can use. And so here's what he says when he addresses the town council. He paraphrases, saying, Ecclesiastes assures us that there is a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to laugh, a time to weep, a time to mourn, and there is a time to dance. He also refers to Psalm 149. Praise ye the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, let them praise his name in the dance. So whether or not you have ever had any experience with structured dance, with dance training or anything, if you think of dancing as being for something that's for people who are trained or for people who are young, here's a quote from Alvin Ailey. Dance is for everybody. I believe that the dance came from the people and that it should always be delivered back to the people. And here's a quote from Martha Graham. Dance is the hidden language of the soul. And here's one more from modern dance pioneer Ted Shawn. I believe that dance is the most perfect symbol of the activity of God and his angels. I believe that dance has the power to heal mentally and physically. So, whatever you think about dance, my friends, I encourage you to put on some music today. Just sway a little if you want, or go ahead and get footloose and dance. So, the last kind of movement we're going to talk about today is movements of groups of people, not just individuals, but groups of people, human migration, if you will. So some people are like birds and move from one place to another with the season or during phases of their lives, right? And some people make trips home, wherever home is, for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, those kinds of trips where you return back to a space of home, whether that's a physical location or to see particular people or to do certain things. There might be reunions, those kinds of pilgrimage. So I looked up pilgrimage a little bit, and of course it's based on the word pilgrim, which is defined as wayfarer or one who travels to a shrine or holy place as a devotee. So we know that there are some really famous pilgrimages that happen every year. One of the most popular places for people to travel to is Jerusalem. Since it's known as a holy city by three different religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all consider Jerusalem a holy city. There's also the annual pilgrimage to Mecca. In Saudi Arabia, there are those who travel to Vatican City in Italy, to Lourdes in France. These are all examples of pilgrimages. So my friends, have you ever made a spiritual journey like that? That kind of movement where we're moving across the earth to reach a space and engage in an activity that's spiritually meaningful. Here's a quote from Richard Rohr. He's a Franciscan priest that's quite well known and an author. Above all else, pilgrimage is praying with your body and it's praying with your feet. It's an exterior prayer, and the exterior prayer keeps calling you into the interior prayer. Here's another quote about pilgrimage from Wesley Granberg Michelson. Your soul no longer stays still. It's moving with God in the world and moving toward God, revealed in signs or shrines or saints or surroundings. The pilgrim's walking body holds incarnate this inner journey of the soul. So whether we're talking about a physical journey of moving, or we're always involving an inner journey, right? An inner pilgrimage of that constant process that we're in of shifting our attention to our divine nature and visiting there on a regular basis. And in a sense, all of us, since the moment of birth, since once we are manifest into this physical body, we are always on that journey of reminding ourselves of our divine nature throughout our entire lives. So all of that can be seen as a movement of sorts, a pilgrimage. And as we come to the end of the talk today, I want to bring one particular pilgrimage to our awareness that many of us have been watching and engaging in from wherever we are. And that is the pilgrimage that happens around the Olympics. Isn't it astounding to see all of these people from all over the world coming together in the spirit of civil competition and sport, and coming to, more than 10,000 athletes and even more spectators, and just being able to experience that awe-inspiring experience of watching human beings in movement as they compete with these different sports, taking the human body to the very edges of what it is possible to do and pushing it a little bit further, going a little bit faster, a little bit higher. It's such an amazing demonstration of mastery, of concentration, of physical mastery, and all of us are being a part of it right now as we watch. As you watch, I encourage you to kind of be in the movement with those athletes and feel the dynamic power of humanity in movement. And to just use that word in a slightly different way, how moving it is, right? So whether you're moving in small ways or small, gentle ways, just get moving, my friends. Keep moving. Let that innate expression of well-being that you are expressed through your spirit, through your mind, your intellect, your emotions, and your body, because we know it's all connected. Spirit is body, body is spirit. And as we care for this body, move the body, then the mind becomes more alert. The spirit sings with joy more and more often. So thanks so much for being here. As we move into our time of meditation, I'm going to take us into meditation with a quote from Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, a wonderful book. And so I encourage you to take a deep breath and settle into the moment here. Settle into the moment with a breath. And here's from Louise Hay. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I recognize my body as a good friend. Each cell in my body has divine intelligence. I listen to what it tells me and know that its advice is valid. I am always safe and divinely protected and guided. I choose to be healthy and free. All is well in my world. So let's take those lovely words into the body, into our consciousness, and move into a time of stillness together, right here, right now. And as we begin to bring our focus back to the current moment and our eyes drift open, just feel that vitality of well-being. Feel it resonating through every cell in the body, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. Feel that energy of well-being. And we'll close our time of meditation with an affirmation. Here's our affirmation, and you can repeat it at home, friends. As I move my body in gratitude, my soul sings with joy. Say it with me, friends. As I move my body in gratitude, my soul sings with joy. One more time. As I move my body in gratitude, my soul sings with joy. And so it is, my friends. Thank you so much for being here and for watching later if you're watching later. And now I'm going to hand it back to our friend Johnetta. Johnetta, you're muted. There you go.
All right. Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.